Hello, RWorld, and welcome to our first episode of RWorldTalk. I am super excited to bring this to all of you, and excited to have with me the President-Elect of Broward, Palm Beaches, and St. Lucie Realtors, my good friend, Mr. David Serle. David, welcome. I've got some questions for you. Hopefully, we can make a successful podcast. I don't really know what I'm doing, but you know what you're doing.
I don't know what I'm doing.
You should know what you're doing.
I should?
Yeah. So you obviously, you have a successful podcast already called Breakfast with the Broker. So it's an honor to have you as our first guest. And I guess my first question for you is, what sort of tips and tricks do you have for us as we launch into the unknown world of podcasting?
Well, I'll tell you what. Thank you very much, Mr. President, Chris Kresman. I really appreciate being. I appreciate being on the inaugural episode of Our World Talk, and it's really, really cool. So I appreciate it. You know, the interesting thing about podcasting is that, you know, too often people look at all the complications. Oh, you need the microphones, you need the tools, you need all these different things. No, you don't. You need literally a phone and Acast or Spotify or any of the other back-end platforms that you use. And really, my biggest tip is just do it, because everyone has something to say. And the great thing about podcasting is that the more you say and the more you open up and the more you really engage with your audience, the more attractive you become to the people that you want attracted to, right? So like, you know, when you go out and if you're a realtor as a salesperson, you go out there and you want a certain, people are gravitated to your personality or engaged by your personality. Podcasting is awesome because we talk, and we express our opinions and our beliefs, and really everyone should have a podcast. And if you want to know what tips and tricks, maybe a couple of them would be, everyone needs like a stick, something that is just, you do consistently. The other thing is to make sure that your podcast is downloaded or uploaded, I should say, is consistently as well. Okay. And, it's about marketing. It's about marketing and telling your story and continuing to be consistent about it.
Okay. So I'm hearing relax, let it flow, be consistent.
And you got to be funny. And sometimes dance.
That's going to be hard. Okay, dancing. So not only are you a rock star broker, but you are also president-elect of the association, third largest local real estate association in the country. So congratulations. Can you tell us a little bit about how volunteering your time has impacted your life?
Yeah, it's interesting because when you get involved, at least for my, I have a little bit different story, but when I got involved because I wanted to understand what the association really does for me. Too often you look in these like social media chats and like, oh, this association doesn't do anything for me. It just provides MLS access and da. And what you don't realize is that the amount of volunteer leaders. I mean, we just installed over 60 volunteer leaders on January 13th, and it's amazing that everyone. We're like family.
Yeah,
and we network across, the globe, right? Our media past presidents in Dubai right now, and so we're doing things that are making a difference, and having a seat at the table is so important. So volunteerism is really, it allows me to understand what the industry is about. It allows me to be in the know of when issues come about and be proactive about them.
Right.
Because I'm a broker, allows me to give my agents some of that, that education so that they can bring back to their sellers and buyers so that we're all educated going forward. So, yeah, I think volunteerism is so important, and people look at it and say, oh, well, the only people that volunteer are the people that don't produce, and that couldn't be further from the truth, especially not in our world.
not in our world. Look at Karen Johnson. You want to talk about production and having the time to volunteer? My goodness, she's an absolute rock star.
Awesome.
You were talking about all the people that were just installed. Those were just the leadership from our regional boards and our executive board and our corporate board. Those are the people who were installed a few weeks ago. I mean, when you look at the amount of people that serve in the association, We're talking about hundreds of people that are sitting on various different committees, and every single one of them is just as important as the other. They're just as important as the leadership is, because they're the ones boots on the ground doing all that work, and at the same time still trying to take care of their families, take care of their businesses, and at the same time, they obviously give lots and lots of time to our industry, serving with the association. Some incredible people that we have here.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're really the most important, right? Because they're the backbone of the association and the volunteerism. Without YPN or community outreach or RPAC involvements, committees, we can't do the things that we need to in order to make a difference. And they're so important. And I value every volunteer, whether we're doing beach cleanups and all kinds of different community events. It's really great. What
was your favorite committee that you served on?
Well, by far, it's not really a committee, but it's the MOS. I mean, I'm a MOS, kind of junkie, I guess I would say. I mean, I originally got into volunteerism as an MOS user group.
Were you voluntold to get involved?
No. So, I mean, back in 2002, I got involved in a user group. From at that time it was regional multiple listing service,
right.
And Kristen Carr was the person. I think she works for RPR now, but she was the one who kind of asked me, and we had some unbelievable talent there. And then I got kind of disassociated from the association, and not really trying to understand how to make a difference in our industry. Until 2017 in Leadership Academy.
Okay. Leadership Academy. So that was life-changing for you?
It was absolutely life-changing.
Okay.
And not only does it bring camaraderie, with your people that you're going through, but it's almost like The Apprentice, right? The Apprentice, right. You have this project and you're all working together and you're trying to, solve, or dominate the world or whatever it might be.
And you're trying to make it to graduation at the same time.
And you're trying to make it to graduation and not really get kicked out of it. No, just kidding. But, I mean, but Leadership Academy really is, the way you understand how to replace the upcoming leadership and who those people are, because some people don't ever want to be president. I don't know that you or I ever wanted to be president. We just
I never thought I'd be president of this association. I was just sitting down in the chair doing my work, and that was it, right?
The same, and you're really kind of just pushed through the journey. And when people keep saying, "Hey, enjoy the journey," you don't realize that until you start to get closer to the presidency, and you're like, yeah, I enjoyed the journey back there.
Yeah, right. I hear that all the time from so many past presidents that came before us that said, you really have to make sure that you enjoy the journey, enjoy the ride. But it's not until you're sitting in this seat that you actually understand what the journey is. And the fact that you are now the president of the association or the president-elect of the association, it was when I was in my president-elect year that it really hit me. It's like, shoot, I'm basically on my way out already. So I need to enjoy, the year that I have left before it's time to move on to different things or go back to committee service. Because I'll tell you what, I loved government affairs. Sure. Government affairs committee is sort of how I was led into RPAC and all the things that we're doing to advocate for our homeowners and private property rights and insurance and taxes and the whole 9 yards. It was, really eye-opening, and it was something that was really special to me to see the way that government works. And now to walk into Publix and see a mayor and be able to say hello to them and shake their hand is certainly, not a place that I ever thought that I was going to be in. But it all just comes from being involved, getting the work done, and learning a few things about the association, learning some more things about your industry. They're quite eye-opening.
Yeah, and it helps the consumer, right? So,
absolutely. That's
by
the whole
you
reason
being, in the know with the mayor or in the know with, county commissioner or senator or House of Representative. I mean, you are being able to bring back and fight for private property owner rights that, they don't have, a lobbyist or someone to really fight for them. So, right. That's what we're here for.
Right, for sure. Yeah, sometimes they just don't know who to turn to, so it's always great to be that local resource.
Agreed.
Okay. So now on a funny note,
Oh yeah, funny note.
You said that we need to laugh. You're a character. Everybody knows that one. But literally mean that you are a character because you don't shy away from dressing up in costume. Actually, I brought something for you.
Ooh,
I got you an RPAC hat.
Yes, I love the RPAC hat.
So that being said, what is the wildest costume you've ever worn? I remember you at the St. Lucie bake sale when you came in dressed as Peter Pan.
And got a pie thrown on my face for that one.
Yeah, pie in the face.
Thanks, Jonathan Dolphus.
Yeah, what's the wildest, craziest thing you've ever wore? I hear you dress up quite a bit in the office for no matter what holiday it is. There's always something that your agents can expect. David's going to walk in with one morning.
So there were two of them. We'll go with one. The first one was the inflatable purple pink unicorn.
Yeah.
And with lights on it and stuff, and and they get a kick out of it. You know, I usually show up at the office party doing some kind of crazy thing.
Right.
But the second one, which I believe I took from Jennifer Atkinson. She was there was I dressed up as the Grinch.
Okay.
All right. And during COVID, we couldn't have this holiday party. So I dressed up in the Grinch, and we had these chocolate pizzas and a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
And I would show up at my agents' houses and like hide in the bushes and like scare them. And I'm like, the Grinch took away your Christmas party or your holiday party, but here's a present for you.
Did they have any idea that you were coming?
No.
Nobody knew.
No.
And here you are hiding in the bushes dressed up as the Grinch.
Yeah, scared them.
I don't know.
And even in the office, I was like knocking on them. We took a video of it. It's cool.
My God.
But yes, listen, society and life in general, I mean, real estate as well, is crazy. I mean, you get involved, kind of in one way society, and you're so involved and so serious all the time that you really have to enjoy yourself, and you really have to have fun and make this fun, or you're going to get burnt out. And it's a lot of personalities to deal with on an everyday basis. And I think being able to laugh at yourself is a very important trait.
You have to, absolutely.
And I enjoy life, man.
Yeah, I mean, realtors. Every realtor is basically a small business owner. Yeah. So with that comes a lot of responsibility. It also comes a lot of time you can find yourself in some very, very stressful situations. So you're absolutely right. You've got to be able to laugh at yourself and shake things off every once in a while. Otherwise, this business could drive you nuts.
Oh, absolutely. And there's probably a few insane asylums that have a few realtors in them. Or should.
So with your podcast running it and at the same time trying to run a brokerage, what are some pointers that you have for new agents getting started in the business, the ones that we have not just scared away by saying how stressful this can be?
I think new agents need to understand motivation and be able to have
that is key. You have to be self-motivated for sure.
100%. But you can't, too often, right? New agents come in and they're all excited. They got their license, whatever. Oh, I'm going to join this team and I'm going to do this. When you're a new agent, I think, and I always tell them, I said, listen, you need to be interviewing the brokerage and the team leaders, not the other way around.
Right. You
are valuable. People want agents. People want bodies, right? They want new agents. And it brings up energy, because, when you have a 20-year-old, 20-year veteran, and then you have a young, kid coming up, it brings in the energy of the office. So I always tell them, write down things that you believe you need right today. Today, you need, these traits. You need, maybe it's lead generation. Maybe you need a mentor. What does the mentor look like? How does it, what's your objective in this real estate business that today? Because that will change, just like, you change your major in college. Right. It's gonna change your focus depending on, who you surround yourself. And then the other thing is make sure you surround yourself with people that are significantly more successful than you.
Absolutely.
And significantly better than you. And what better way to do that, honestly, to get on a committee, to get on a YPN, or get on RPAC and understand the intricacies, because I wish I would have done that a lot earlier on, and I'm jealous of those new members coming in and saying, you know what, I want to be part of something bigger than myself, right from the get-go.
Yeah, I think it's important for people to go to as many networking possibilities as they can, especially when they're a new agent, because it's a fantastic way to meet other people in the business, find out exactly what's going on with the market, find out who loves their broker, who hates the broker, and why.
Right.
And that'll help you make a decision. And I always tell people as well, find out the amount of money that you will absolutely need to make in the following year. Like, I will not get out of bed for making less than this much money, and work backwards and find out how many phone calls does that mean I have to make in order to convert into an appointment. And, to basically start, you really need to start this business off with a solid business plan moving forward. There's lots of educational opportunities for a new agent coming into the business. There's, lots of things that your broker is going to be able to teach you, but you need to make sure, like you said, that you're self-motivating, and you need to know exactly what it is that you need to do each day. And if you don't wake up and start doing something in real estate every morning, you're unemployed.
Yeah, I mean, too often I think the mistake that new agents make is they dive into things and they don't really understand who they're with and whatnot. So they need to do their research, and also as real estate professionals, you mentioned networking. How many times have you spoke to a top producer and they say, "Oh, I'm not going there. Why would I do that? I'm not going to get any business from agents."
Right.
That couldn't be further from the truth. It's the biggest misconception.
Absolutely.
I've gotten significant amount of business by being with my local real estate agents because they were saying, "Hey, you know what? I want to co-list with you because I don't understand this market. Putting a developer on land or tearing down a property, right, or knowing the width of the canals or deep water access and such. Those are the things that you need to be at because it also is talking about real estate. And it's important. So as a new agent, I absolutely would be a sponge and absorb all the information you can from people that are significantly more successful than yourself.
Sure. Yeah, and it's important to network. I know that we're licensed to sell in the state of Florida, which is it could be anywhere from Tallahassee down to Key West, but you have to make sure that you know the area if you're really going to service your clients in the proper way. So going to a networking event for RWorld, and I can meet somebody up in Port St. Lucie that I can know and trust and be able to just pick up a phone and say, "Hey, I've got a buyer looking for waterfront in Port St. Lucie," which I know nothing about. If you want to send somebody down to Pompano, I'm your guy. But as far as Port St. Lucie, it's nice to be able to network, know an agent that you could trust up there that's going to take really great care of your clients.
And that makes them part of your team, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Because teams are the rage or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And so when you're looking at all these teams, like, all right, well, I have 17 referral partners across the world. I have ancillary services and all these other different things, and it's important to create that team of trusted professionals that you trust, that that they're going to do a really good job for your clients, and you're able to refer them out because of it.
Yeah. Absolutely. So if you were going to pick 3 words to sum up what real estate looks like in 2023, what would those words be and why?
Am I allowed to curse? Just kidding. On
your podcast, you can, not on this one.
I would say empathy.
Okay.
I would say confidence and shaken. So I think that what we're having a problem with is this. In the last few years, especially realtors that have been in the business for a while, have gotten the business a little easier than what they thought it would be, right? Absolutely. Maybe the transactions, think about this. We're doing less transactions for more money, and commissions are significant, right? Because the prices are significantly higher. So technically, the last few years, we're doing a little less work for for more money. Well, that's going to turn, right? So we're doing more work for less money. And we have to understand that it all
evens out in the end.
It absolutely does. And we have to be diligent, So when we look at empathy, we have to understand that people are going to go through very difficult times. There are going to be layoffs. There are going to be people that are that you're going to have to understand that customers that have given you business for years and years and years, you better stay in touch with them, because if not, someone else will, and someone else will take your customer very easily. Not because the customer didn't want to work with you, but a big customer didn't hear from you. So I think that it's a lot. And when we talk about shaken, I think when we're talking about shaken, we're talking about a market that fluctuates every day. And
I just heard interest rates took a beating last week.
Yep. And people look at it and say, oh my God, we're going to, there's a bubble or this or that. Listen, we just have to do better. We have to be professional. We have to be part of the association and volunteer, and we have to do our community outreach and take care of our customers the way we would want to be taken care of, and everything will be fine, because you know what? The cream always rises to the top, and we're going to continue to do and service professionally and the right way.
Yeah, if you're a little slower now, this would be a fantastic time to get out there, not only to get back to basics with your business,
create systems.
But now that you're a little bit slower, this is a fantastic time to give back as much time as you can to your community. Because, that's what realtors do. We build strong communities, and that we create beautiful places for people to want to live. So I think now is a fantastic time, like you said, get involved with a community outreach project. Maybe go and help clean up some blight in your local community. Maybe go and volunteer for doing some re-landscaping at a church or something like that.
Yeah, the top producers, you could always look at their book of business, and their book of business is their database.
Right.
Whoever has the biggest database typically wins, right? Whoever has the biggest database with the, maybe the most affluent of database, wins. And you look at all these top producers, they're constantly building relationships. They're constantly, whether they're at a Starbucks, whether they're at a networking event, a beach cleanup, a community outreach, wherever they are when they're traveling, they're always stopping into real estate offices, talking about real estate all the time. And that's how you become a successful realtor, if that's what you perceive to be a top producer. If you want to be, the objective is to be a top producer, then that's how you become it.
Okay, fantastic. Moving on, what's your favorite technology product that the association offers?
ListTrack. It's
for those who don't know, what's ListTrack?
Yeah, so it's a service for the realtor to monitor how many clicks and websites that your particular listing is getting, the exposure.
Okay.
And you're able to measure it a little bit from week to week and kind of show it. The great thing is it automates directly to the seller. So how many times has a seller said, well, you're not doing anything. I'm not getting any showings this week. What's going on? And you could show them or automate it, once a week. So
it'll send them an automatic email?
Yeah, every Monday.
Or you can give them a report manually? Monday. Okay.
I do. Yeah, you can do it manually as well.
Okay.
I do it every Monday. Goes directly to them.
Is it tracking the big syndication hubs, or is it just tracking your own personal website?
No. It's tracking all the portals and different websites, and it gives you a breakdown and a graph and displays pretty well. And I love it. I think it's important this day and age where you have listings, significantly more inventory, that we continually communicate with our sellers.
Okay, fantastic. Last question for you, and we are going to wrap up our very first podcast. This is exciting stuff. I'm going to ask you if you can tell me either your favorite podcast, your favorite book, or favorite quote, something that has stuck with you, changed your life, could even be like a movie biography.
A quote I kind of live by, and I believe it was Maya Angelou, who said, you may not always remember what I said, but you'll always remember how I made you feel. And I think that, going back to empathy is so important in 2023 to understand that, a lot of people may be hurting, or a lot of people in general, right? Getting out of the pandemic or whatnot. And I think it's so important to have empathy going forward. And just real quick, I'll just give a book recommendation.
Yep.
Most of the books are mainstream. This one isn't necessarily mainstream, but it's called Rejection Proof. And it's about a immigrant who came over and basically did 100 days of rejection, and went and did some crazy things to try and understand how rejection works. So it was really, really good. I forget the author, but Rejection Proof was excellent.
Okay, be sure to check that out. We actually just went to, our own member just became Florida Realtors President for Women's Council of Realtors. And when we went to the event, everybody received a plaque, and it actually had that quote on the plaque. So it's funny that you said that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, fantastic. We got it from Women's Council.
Oh, awesome.
Well, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for being on Our World Talk.
You're
See
the best
everybody
host
later.
ever. Thank you.
Thank you.